today's video is going to be a quarterly check-in on the 25 books that I want to read in 2025. This is going to be like a 3-month check-in every 3 months for me this year, so I can keep up with my progress of the books that I did put on this list. And I think the goal for me for this list anyway is to pick up series that I've been putting off, and also to read more books from authors that I want to read more from, but also to pick up books from authors that I've never read from before. So far, in the first 3 months of the year, so we're talking about January to March, obviously, I've read 6 books on my 25 in 2025. So I think that's actually really good progress, because quite a few of them were first books in series, and that did get me to read the rest of those series as well. So it doesn't sound like that many, but also like some of these first books in series have like 4 to 6 books, and I read the whole series. So I think that is really, really good progress. So first, I'm going to tell you guys what were actually on my list for my 25 in 2025. I think I did swap out one, and I did put which one it was. I thought I didn't. So we're going to say the books that I haven't read yet, and then I'm going to tell you guys the books that I have read. But I'm just going to go down the list first. Well, actually, I'll tell you guys the books I have read, but I'm just going to tell you the original list first. So one is Billy Summers by Stephen King. Then we have The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. We have Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. We have The Will of the Many by something Ingleton. Oh my god, what is his name? Damn it. I'm gonna have to look up his name when we get to it. An Ember in the Ashes series by Sabaa Tahir. The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. Fireborn by... I'm gonna have to look up her name too. Assassin's Apprentice, Book of Azrael. I'll say the authors as I talk about them. Dance of Thieves, Red Queen, Red Rising, and The Infernal Devices. I already lost count. Hurricane Wars, The Bridge Kingdom, Neon Gods, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. Night Circus. I actually added Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow because I still haven't read that book yet. Sneak peek. Night Circus I put on here because I'm replacing it with Spark of the I'm swapping out Spark of the Everflame for Night Circus. I don't know why I'm replacing Night Circus from Spark of the Everflame. I don't know why I can't say that. And then we have The Nightingale, Beartown, Shatter Me, This Woven Kingdom, A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon, and House of the Cerulean Sea. So let's go through the books that I have read. So first off is The Nightingale by Kristin Hannah. I finally read it in January. I kept on putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. I don't know why I put off Kristin Hannah's books so much. I know as soon as I pick them up, I know they're going to be amazing. But I have only read 2 books by Kristin Hannah so far. I am also going to update you guys on how many books that I've read from these authors since I've picked up their books. I am fully intending on reading like one Kristin Hannah book per season this year, and actually Firefly Lane is on my TBR for April, and I want to get to it very, very soon. I'm going to read it as soon as I finish Great Big Beautiful Life from Emily Henry. I am dying to get to it because people say it's like a really, really amazing Kristin Hannah book to read in the springtime. So originally I really wanted to read the women from her first, but then like everybody kept on talking about how amazing The Nightingale was, and honestly I was like, I really wanted The Nightingale to be the first physical book that I had read from Kristin Hannah, because the first book I had actually read from her, I listened to the audiobook, was Night Road, so I've only listened to that book and read The Nightingale. But oh my god, The Nightingale was absolutely fucking amazing. It was a 5-star read for me. I absolutely loved it. I think if there is one book that anyone should read, it should be The Nightingale because it's a standalone. Like, her books are just, don't be intimidated by the length of her books. You will fly through them and they are seriously unputdownable. I did not want to do anything but finish this book, and it absolutely wrecked me. It was absolutely amazing. Okay, so next up is Beartown by Fredrik Backman. Now, I picked up Beartown a couple of weeks after The Nightingale. It's funny how people pick up The Nightingale and Beartown like relatively closer together. And I was seeing a lot of YouTubers do that on most of the YouTubers that I love to watch. So I finally picked it up as my first book that I read in February this year. And oh my God, you guys, this became a 6-star trilogy for me. Absolutely phenomenal. He is by far probably my favorite author of all time at this moment, besides M.L. Wang with Blood Over Bright Haven. I should have put that on this list, but I knew I was going to read it in January, and that book became my favorite book of the entire year. But Beartown, holy shit, is the only book that matched my feelings about Blood Over Bright Haven. Absolutely phenomenal 6-star trilogy. I've never rated anything a 6-star, anything like I mean, I have rated books 6 stars before, but Blood Over Bright Haven was my only other 6-star read this year. That's how amazing this trilogy is, and absolutely loved it. It will shatter your soul. It will absolutely wreck you, I think, but then I ended up reading the entire trilogy, but I was putting off picking up the second book because I was like, I know I am going to be shattered, crying. But once you read his books, yes, they like hurt your heart and soul, but it's not like the third book was probably the most gut wrenching. Like, oh my God, I cried through like every chapter in like the last 50 pages, every chapter. But so it's Beartown, Us Against You, and The Winners. But also, like, I read Us Against You and The Winners very close together. I only put one palette cleanser in between because I was like, I need something that's the complete opposite. So I picked up Next of Kin by Hannah Bonham Young. And then I went into the second book in the Beartown trilogy. I mean, the third book in the Beartown trilogy, and absolutely wrecked me. Absolutely fucking wrecked me. So absolutely phenomenal series. And again, if there's any series or if there's any one book that you need to read, or any book that you take away in this video, it would be Blood Over Bright Haven, The Nightingale, and Beartown. Top 3 favorite reads of the whole year so far. Oh my God, they're all amazing books, and they're talked about for a reason. But I want to read Fredrik Backman's entire backlist at this point, and Kristin Hannah's, or most of like Kristin Hannah's like more famous books, like Firefly Lane, The Four Winds, The Women, and The Great Alone, which are all the ones that I own from her. So I really do want to read all of those, and those are like her top most popular books. So anyway, let's move on. The third is Shatter Me by Tahereh Mafi. I read the entire Shatter Me series. I fucking devoured this series. I'm not really going to tell you guys like what these books are about. If you want to look up what these books are about, you can just, Google them or look them up on Goodreads. But I feel like if I tell you about every single synopsis of these, we're going to be here forever. So Shatter Me, the original series, is 6 books, and I devoured these, completely blew through them. I could not put them down, but they are so freaking bingeable, and I think I finished the series in like maybe 10 days. I think I finished the series in 10 days because I also had found all the audiobooks on YouTube because the series has been out for so long. Sorry, I gotta put socks on because my feet are cold now. But I hadn't actually read anything from Tahereh Mafi before this, and I don't know why my dog is barking at 12:30 at night. I really don't. My brother has like no sense of sound here. Like an idiot. So anyway, he thinks that nobody can hear anything with the door closed. Idiot. So anyway, I read the entire series, meaning the original 6 books. I only read the first 2 novellas, but we'll get into that in a minute. But the reason why I really, really wanted to read Shatter Me this year, because I kept on putting it off last year, but I was like, I need to read it before April because the new book was coming out in the Shatter Me universe, which was Watch Me by Tara Mafi, which I also just read like 2 days ago because it just came out 2 days ago. I blew through that book. I could not put it down either. I just really love the Shatter Me series. And we're going to talk about her next series in a minute. But yeah, I didn't read all the novellas though. I read the first 2 novellas in the Shatter Me series, which were Destroy Me and Fracture Me. Can't believe I remember those names. And they were really good, but also like I had done my research on Reddit and online to see which Shatter Me novellas were worth reading, and people said just the first 2. So that's what I did. And they really said that like the other ones are really not necessary. But actually I also ended up just picking up the last one, which was Believe Me, because I wanted to read it right before Watch Me came out. But also I thought that Believe Me took place a lot later in the Shatter Me universe like Watch Me did, but it didn't. So it only took place like a couple of weeks after what happened, but I still like kind of wanted to get back into the world, to get back into Watch Me, because I'm going to tell you about the other series that I read from her. But I really loved the Shatter Me series. I think it's worth reading all of the books. I really hate that people say like you should stop after the original trilogy, but Restore Me was my only 5-star read in that entire series. Not saying I didn't like the books before that, but Restore Me was my favorite book in the entire series. Because of Warner. But like you really do fall in love with the characters in this series. Like Juliet, Warner, and Kenji live inside my heart and soul every day. So like reading Watch Me, I really wanted to have like that background and that experience reading them. Reading the new series with having the nostalgia of reading the original series. Because people say like you can pick up Watch Me and you don't have to necessarily read Shatter Me, but honestly, I would. Because you're not going to get the love of the characters before that. So anyway, next up, should I also say my ratings of all of them really quick? Because Shatter Me, I gave a 4.25. Oh my god, why am I blanking on the second book? Unravel Me, I also gave a 4.25. Ignite Me, I gave a 4.75. It was very close to being a 5-star, but there was like one thing that I really didn't like. I really can't remember. Like after like I read these books, like they literally leave my brain. Like I'm gonna have to watch the vlog on the Shatter Me books. Again, if you want to go watch that, you can, because I vlogged the entire thing, of course, of reading all the whole series. Then Restore Me, like I said, was my only 5-star. I'm not going to tell you what I rated the novellas. I rated them both like 4 stars. Defy Me, I rated, I think, just a 4.25 again, because it was still really good. And then Imagine Me, I just gave it 4 stars, because definitely it was my least favorite book. So, but I still really loved the series. So, and now if you finish Imagine Me, you just get Watch Me, which Watch Me I liked more than Imagine Me. So I gave it a 4.25. So anyway, next up is the This Woven Kingdom series, also by Tara Mafi. I decided to read this series as well back in March. I read Shatter Me back in February, like right in the middle of February. I had read Beartown, like I said, as my first book in February. So with This Woven Kingdom, you guys, I really did not like this series, and like honestly, the other 2 books on this list I loved, and actually all of these books I really loved on this list except for the This Woven Kingdom series. But it did get me to read all 3 books in the series, which was This Woven Kingdom, These Infinite Threads, and All This Twisted Glory, because everybody said it gets better, it gets better, it gets better after the first book, and I was like, it really didn't for me. I gave all of them like a 3 stars. I think the first book I gave a 3.25, and the second book I don't even remember. I think I didn't give them more than 3 stars because I really just did not like them. I just could not connect to the characters, and I was honestly so surprised that these books were written by the same author as one of my favorite series, which is Shatter Me. I'm like, why is it that I don't care about this series? Like, and I just could not connect to the characters. And like, there can be like one character I don't really care about, but honestly, if I don't like the main character, I'm not gonna like the series. And I really did not like the main character. I mean, Juliet was a little bit annoying in Shatter Me, but since Warner and Kenji were such strong characters, like, and I do feel like Juliet really grew with her character arc throughout the series, and then I ended up really loving her. But like with this, there was just no character growth. Like they just kept on staying stagnant, and like there was so many parts where like nothing fucking happened. So if you want to see my full thoughts on it, you can go check out that video. I'm not gonna ramble on about it, but it did get me to read the whole series, and also the next book is coming out in September for that. But also, this list got me to read every single Tahereh Mafi book that I own, which was 9 books. So that's pretty damn impressive. Even though This Woven Kingdom was boring, they still were easy to read. But damn, if I didn't have the audiobooks, I probably would have DNF'd the series, and I probably should have after the first book. Because honestly, there was a couple of times where I was thinking about DNFing these books, and also, like, it really wouldn't have mattered if I did, because they were all books that I got with my gift cards from one of my friends last year on my birthday. But at least, like, one of the books that I got with that gift card, I really liked, which was Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood, and I read that back in March after The Winners Wrecked My Soul by Frederick Bachman. I finally picked up Not in Love, and I actually really loved that book, and that was my second favorite Ali Hazelwood book that I had read. So I'll talk about that later. So anyway, the next one, which I was so happy I finally picked up this book, and also, like, you would probably be like, Caitlin, why did you put a romance book on this? Because on this list, because romance books, honestly, they're so easy to pick up. Like, come on, they're romance books. Like, and also, pat myself on the back, I have less than 10 books left on my romance TBR of the ones that I own. I have read mostly every single romance book that I own because they're so easy to read. But also, like, I don't pick up too many romance reads. I have way more fantasy books in series that I haven't gotten to yet, like Red Queen and all of that. But I think I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And one of them is from this series, but it's like less than 10 books. So I'm like really proud of myself about that. So the next one is A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon by Sarah Hawley. And if you guys know, who knows? I mean, nobody watches my videos, but anyway, this is for, so if I know this, but I was putting off reading this series last year for like so long. I don't know why, I just never got around to reading them. So I finally picked up the first book as my first book in March that I read, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I gave it a 5 stars. So I finally read it, and I was so happy that I did. But then I didn't pick up the second book because, like, you don't really need to read those in like succession, because I would kind of get a little bit sick of them. So I wanted to spread out the series, and I actually just finished the second book today. So now I only have the third book left, which is A Demon's Guide to Wooing a Witch. And then the third book is A Werewolf's Guide to Seducing a Vampire. So the reason why I put this on my list is because it is a series, and I really felt like it would motivate me to read it And it did, because I only have one book left now. And I'm so happy that I finished the second book. So that was great. The second book was great too. I gave it a 4 stars, but I didn't love it as much as the first one, but absolutely adored it. Sarah Hawley's writing is absolutely hysterical. And I really want to read Servant on Earth. So I will probably end up reading all of her books that she's come out with so far very, very soon. Because I'm planning on reading A Werewolf's Guide to Seducing a Vampire as my first book in May. And then the last one that I had read, because I haven't read one of these books in like a month, because I don't think I'm going to be able to get to any this month, but I am getting to another Kristen Hanna book, so that's a goal in itself, and I am continuing series that I started. So that's, again, that was the main goal of this list, was to read series I was putting off, or series I haven't finished. So, which I don't have that many. I'm not that person that's like in the middle of like 5 million series. It's only like a few. So, and then the last one is House of the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. I knew that I wanted to read more TJ Klune's books this year. TJ Klune books this year, and I knew I wanted to read House of the Cerulean Sea next, because I had only read Under the Whispering Door, and I read that back in November of last year, and that was my first book from him. And I gave that a 6 stars. I absolutely loved that book. That's one of my favorite books ever, clearly. But House of the Cerulean Sea, I gave 5 stars. It didn't beat Under the Whispering Door, but I had very high expectations for it. And most people say that they love this book more than House of the Cerulean Sea, but also they said that Under the Whispering Door was kind of similar to it. But I feel like Under the Whispering Door was so unique. And I don't think it was that similar. I mean, yes, there was a sapphic romance in it, but I would say that's like the only thing that's similar to it. I think that they both had unique enough stories that I really didn't think they were that similar, but that's just me. But anyway, I absolutely adore TJ Klune's writing. He's become one of my favorite authors. Every time I talk about him, I'm just like, he's just like a warm hug. It's not like he doesn't talk about like serious topics though. Like he can talk about some really serious topics and some mentally jarring topics, with some dark topics, but how many times can I say topics? But he does it in a way where you just feel like so happy to be reading one of his books, because his writing is absolutely fantastic. Like, I've never read anyone that can portray messages so well, but also you feel like you are escaping to a fantasy world, but also like he has such profound, impactful messages in his book. I said in my review of House of the Cerulean Sea, I said it really is a true talent, because I really haven't read any other author like that. I really like, there's like there's really great fantasy reads out there, but honestly, like, no one really integrates it as seamlessly as TJ Klune has, for me anyway. Like Beartown, there's a million political messages in it, but also like I knew that those books would be political and heavy to read, but also like they can also be very funny, but they can also gut wrench you as well, just like Boys of Tommen, which is like a 6-star series for me as well. But like TJ Klune is just, I love him so much, and I cannot wait to read more of his books. I do have The Bones Beneath My Skin, and I really do want to read that at some point later this year. And I'm probably not going to pick up any more TJ Klune books for a little while. So those are the 6 books that I've read. Now let's go through the ones I haven't read yet. But also I think that I'm not going to be able to get to any this month and next month, because there's going to be like 10 million new releases next month that I am fully intending on reading, because there's like 9 new releases that I really want to read. So most of May is going to be dedicated to new releases, but also there have been, before I get into the ones that are unread, they're unread for a reason, because there have been so many new releases this year in 2025. This has been probably the biggest new release year ever, and even though I've only been an avid reader since October of 2023. Last year, we had a shit ton of releases, but this year, it is insane. Probably double the amount of last year. And I've just been trying to keep up with all the anticipated reads that I'm so excited for. But like new releases just end up taking priority, and also the reason why they do is because I want to read them with everybody else. But also I don't want to have FOMO, but also because I'm like highly anticipating these reads myself, that I'm like so excited to read them. So that's really why. I think I've read 6 or 7 new releases already for this month, because I was able to read 2 arcs in March, and then I read like 5 new releases already this month. So that's why these books keep on getting pushed back. But also I have no excuse for one of them, and I'll tell you that in a minute. So the first one is Billy Summers by Stephen King. I don't know why I keep on putting this book off. I keep on putting it on a couple of TBRs, and I still haven't read it. The same thing with King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. That's not on this list, but I know I'm going to read those at some point. I might actually add that to this list as well. Let me see how many I have. 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Yeah, that is 25 books. Maybe I should just add King of Scars instead, but I know I want to read those, but I had also kept on putting them on a TBR for the past 3 months, and I still hadn't gotten to them. I don't know why I keep pushing them off, because I ended up reading Shatter Me and This Woven Kingdom. So those just ended up getting put on the back burner, and I didn't end up reading a series in January because I did a Fourth Wing reread, meaning like I re-listened to the audiobooks. So to be prepared for Onyx Storm. But I ended up not reading a series in January besides Fourth Wing, so most of these series I didn't read until February and March. So I didn't read Billy Summers by Stephen King yet, though. I don't know why Stephen King intimidates me so much. I still have not ever read a Stephen King book. And, I feel like I'm a broken record, but I feel like, as readers, there's like those 3 authors that like everybody says you need to read or like required to read would be Stephen King, Kristen Hanna, and Frederick Bachman. But I would also add TJ Klune to that list, because how can you hate a TJ Klune book? Like, I really don't see any negative reviews about TJ Klune's books, because like he's such a beloved author. I think I read him as my cozy fantasy prompt or my author everybody loves prompt. But anyway, still haven't read Billy Summers. Hopefully I'll get to it soon. It is a thriller book by Stephen King, because I don't do horror. But I don't know why I keep putting it off. I think it's been on my TBR for almost a year. I think I'm gonna do a vlog probably in June, because I'm not gonna be able to get to any of these books in May. But in June, I am hoping to do a vlog of books that I've been putting off, and also books that my friend has recommended to me, because I want to read at least 3 of the books that she's recommended to me as well. So I am trying to read one of them by the end of this month, because it is on my TBR, so I'm hoping to get to it. So anyway, next up is The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. I know it's kind of shameful that I haven't read the Hunger Games trilogy yet. My mom tried to push me to read them when I was growing up. And if you guys didn't know my reading journey, but basically I was not a reader growing up. I really did not like reading. Maybe if I knew that audiobooks existed when I was younger, because I really didn't know that they did. Because, we lived with tapes and CDs, even though I know that there was tapes and CDs of audiobooks in the library, but I was just not a reader. And I never thought I would be into audiobooks, and then here I am listening to audiobooks all the fucking time. But I was going to read these before Sunrise on the Reaping came out, and I never did. Because I put it on my TBR for March, and I just ended up not getting to them. And I'm so mad at myself that I didn't read The Hunger Games over This Woven Kingdom. I probably should have just DNF'd This Woven Kingdom and went into The Hunger Games, so then I could have at least read the trilogy. But I don't know. I feel like they just, again, intimidate me so fucking much. The next book, you're going to be like, Caitlin, you still haven't fucking read that yet. But yeah, I really do need to read them because I do have Sunrise on the Reaping on hold on Libby. Because, one, it only came out in hardcover. And two, the Kindle book, to purchase it on Kindle, it is $18.99. Okay, it's fucking expensive. But also, my Libby hold comes through in like 3 weeks. So I really need to read them. Because if I put it on hold again, I'm not going to be able to read them in May. So, like, I really do want to read those in June as well. So I already have a TBR in June that I'm already planning. Because I have to read. I'm probably going to read The Hunger Games over the summer. You know, to offset all the romance reads. But again, I'm doing really good with my romance TBR. So hopefully I will read them. Okay. Well, I'm going to read them. It's going to be a goal fulfilled in 2025. Okay, next up is Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. And yes, I still have not read this book. I know. Talk about one I've been putting on my TBR for like 10 million years or like every month, and that is this book. I still have not read a Brandon Sanderson book either, and like that's like another author that's like required is Brandon Sanderson. Or like the Hunger Games trilogy in general, because no one says Suzanne Collins, they just say you haven't read the Hunger Games trilogy. Because that's like really like her best work, or like that's really like mostly what she's written. But anyway, she's amazing. Like I haven't even read her yet, and I know I'm gonna love the series. But yes, I haven't read Warbreaker yet. I picked this book up because of a recommendation by Books with Emily Fox. I love her channel so much. And she did like this whole recommendations video on which Brandon Sanderson books you should start with, or like what standalones you should read if like you don't want to invest like in a 10 book long series or like an 8 book long series, like how long Brandon Sanderson's books are. But also, I really, really want to read Brandon Sanderson's books at some point. But I have to get through my whole TBR first. But like Brandon Sanderson, I feel like is an author that I'm going to devote myself to like further down the road, like a couple of years from now. Because if I like read all of these books, then I can really devote myself to the Mistborn trilogy or like the entire like the Stormlight Archives. Those are probably the only 2 series I'm going to read from him. But I really, really want to read Mistborn, but also I wanted to start with Warbreaker because it's a standalone. So I really need to read it. And then I also really wanted to read Tress of the Emerald Sea as well. So hopefully I will read it at some point. Okay, next up is The Will of the Many, and I believe it's by James Ingleton. That's his name. And I also picked up this book because of a recommendation from Books with Emily Fox, and I do want to read this book this year because the second book I believe is coming out in the summertime. I know it's coming out sometime this year. And I really do want to read the first book before the second book comes out. That mostly was why it was on my list for this year. But also because I've heard it's amazing. Okay, next up is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. I cannot believe I have not read this series yet. And I was dying to over This Woven Kingdom because I was craving an amazing romantasy series that I was going to be obsessed with, because This Woven Kingdom, I was not. I was obsessed with the Shatter Me series, but I really wanted to invest in reading a romantasy series that I was going to be obsessed with, because like honestly, I think everyone went through their own romantasy slump after they read Onyx Storm. I know I did. And I think the only one I had picked up since Onyx Storm, which was only like 2 weeks later, was Heavenly Bodies by Imani Ario. I absolutely devoured that book. I loved that book so much. I gave it a 4.75. That book is amazing. It deserves all the hype it's getting. And then I also read The Rose Bargain by Sasha Payton. Is that her name? Pretty sure that's her name. Um, and I loved that too. And I read that back in February. And I also read Rebel Witch by Kristen Ciccarelli, which was the second book in Heartless Hunter. I didn't really love the first book, but I really, really liked the second one. And then in March, I really just wanted to devote myself to a series, which was This Woven Kingdom, and I really didn't like it. And I'm like, I'm so mad that I didn't end up reading The Hunger Games or An Ember in the Ashes. And I was dying to read An Ember in the Ashes after I didn't like This Woven Kingdom, but I was like, I just don't have time. So I'm really, really hoping to get to it this summer. So that's probably going to be the other fantasy series that I really want to read this summer. So, and then all these other fantasy series are going to be more so like winter reads or like fall series because they're long. They're long books. So the next one is The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. Now, this one is the only one that I really do want to read in May because the third book is coming out at the end of May. But they are chonkers, all right? They're high fantasy, and I really do. I think I might read them towards the end of the month, and honestly, if I'm reading the third book by June, it doesn't bother me. But they are longer books. But I think that there's not as many new releases coming out at the end of the month, or I believe like after the 27th, or I think the third book does come out the 27th. I'm hoping to be able to read them by that point because I also picked up these books last year with my best friend's birthday money that he gave me last year for my birthday. So, and I haven't read them yet. He's like, "You haven't read the books that you got with my money yet?" I'm like, "No, I haven't. I'm sorry." But I actually did read all the books that my other friend gifted a gift card to me, which was This Woven Kingdom, and Not in Love. Those were the 4 books that I picked up literally on my birthday with my boyfriend. So anyway, so yeah, I really, really want to read the Rage of Dragons series at some point because everybody says it's amazing. And I did make it one of my goals to read high fantasy in the wintertime this year. And I hadn't read really any high fantasy this entire winter. But, I read some standalones. I read some anticipated releases, or some very anticipated releases. So, anticipated releases, can I speak? So, I think that's an accomplishment. And also, I read the Shatter Me series, which was the biggest goal for me. And I read Frederick Bachman, and I read more TJ Klune, and I read more Ali Hazelwood books. So, we're doing good. I read Hannah Bonham Young's entire backlist. I read another Catherine Center book. Yeah, we're doing good. We're doing good. I'm actually happy about this check-in because I do think I made quite a bit of progress on this list. I mean, I read 6 books. That means I'm reading like 2 a month. So if I stick to 2 a month, I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to read any of them this month or next month. So we're going to pick them back up in June, hopefully, like I said. And that's definitely going to be The Hunger Games first. I don't care what's coming out in June. We are reading The Hunger Games. So that's required. Okay, next up is The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. By the way, I didn't want to grab any of these books physically because it's just annoying. It's late at night. I didn't feel like grabbing any of them. Sue me. And this is like another high fantasy dragon series, like with dragons and monsters, and I'm dying to read it because everybody says how good they are. And like I've just been wanting to like throw my TBR out the window and work on that fantasy shelf because I really haven't read any of the books on that middle shelf except for Servants in the Wings of Night, which is the Crowns of Nexia series. So I'm hoping I can start working on that shelf with The Rage of Dragons. So that's why I really want to read that at the end of May. So I can say like, oh my God, I read 2 more books on that shelf. But also, I don't know where the hell I'm going to fit the third one because I didn't buy the third one yet because obviously it's not out yet. Maybe I'll get an arc of it. Maybe I should request it because that would be fucking awesome. But then I'll be annoyed that I don't own the third book because I don't know why I had to buy The Serpents and the Wings of Night physical books. Tell me why, because I love that series. So anyway, at least I read that series. So anyway, the next one is Fireborn, and I have to look up the author really quick. And I got this series, I think back in December. Have not picked it up yet though. Have not read them. I don't know why. I'm pretty sure I spelled it properly, so I don't know why it's not coming up. Why can't I see what the author's name is? Rosaria Munda. The zoom, I swear to God, is so much better on this phone. I don't even have to get up. I can just zoom in on my camera. Laziness for the win. I need to pull up the list again. I got this recommended to me by my dear friend Monica here on YouTube. We talk all the time about what books we're reading. And she's like absolutely obsessed with this series, but also she had read the This Woven Kingdom trilogy and she said that she loved it, so that's why I read it. So I did read one of the series that she recommended to me. But also she has read the Ember and the Ashes series and she said she absolutely loved it too. So I'm dying to get to that series too. I'm probably going to get to the Ember and the Ashes series before Fireborn. Fireborn is much more like higher fantasy and less romantasy. And she also said it's kind of like a YA version of Game of Thrones, so very political. So I'm dying to get to it, so hopefully I can at some point. Next up is Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. That's not what it's actually called. It's called the Farseer trilogy, I believe. And the first book is Assassin's Apprentice. The Rage of Dragons and the Fires of Vengeance are the first two books in that. The third book, I don't remember what it's called, but it's not out yet, so it's not that important. And then we have The Shadow of the Gods, The Hunger of the Gods, and The Fury of the Gods by John Gwynne. And then we have Fireborn, Flamefall, and Fury Song, which are the Fireborn books. And then we have Assassin's Apprentice, Royal Assassin, and Assassin's Quest, I believe, are the books in the Farseer trilogy. There's like a whole universe though with Robin Hobb's books, but I am not going to read all of them. I am just going to read that trilogy because that Assassin's Apprentice book was like blowing up on TikTok around that time. I'm not really a TikTok person. I only go to TikTok for book recommendations or like to see what books have blown up on TikTok or to see what the latest book author controversy has been. That's about it. But yeah, I really want to read those. Which is more high fantasy, and I've kind of heard they're a bit triggering and they can get pretty dark, so I kind of want to read some more dark fantasy though. So that was one of my goals for 2025 as well. Next up is Book of Azrael by the fuck is her name? What is her name? I don't know why these authors' names are leaving me right now. Excuse me. Amber V. Nicole, which is the Gods and Monsters series. Now, tell me why I thought that the fourth book of this series was coming out in April or May. I thought it was coming out in May. I don't know if it got pushed back, but everybody seems to be obsessed with this series, and the fourth book's called The Wrath of the Fallen, but it doesn't come out until October. So I was thinking about not binging this series until October, and it was going to be like my dark fantasy series or dark romantasy series for Halloween for October, and I thought it would be perfect to binge that series in October, so that's what I'm going to do. Because there's way too many series for me to try and get to before that. I don't know if we're going to get to half of them because, like I said, most of these are going to be ones that I read either throughout the year or ones that I wanted to save for the winter time. But I am going to get to quite a bit of them. I'm hoping to get to Fireborn over the summertime as well. So, okay. Next up is Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. Now, this is only a duology, so there's Dance of Thieves and Vow of Thieves. Book of Azrael, we have... Why do I keep on forgetting to say the names of the books? The Book of Azrael, The Throne of the Broken Gods, The Dawn of the Cursed Queen, and The Wrath of the Fallen. I think it's supposed to be a 7-book series, but there's only going to be... The 4th book is the only one that is coming out this year. Like, there's no other books announced after that yet. But I really want to read them because everybody seems to love it. So Dance of Thieves, I have had, and I really want to put that in the books I've been putting off video. So it would be Billy Summers, Dance of Thieves, and probably Warbreaker. I think that would be really good to do over the summer. So then I can get to 3 more books on my 25 and 2025, and that will kind of make up for not getting to them this month and next month, because, y'all, the new releases, I swear, too many. But the fact that this is just a duology and I haven't read it yet, that's a little bit sad. But also, I haven't read the King of Scars duology either by Leigh Bardugo, and I'm probably gonna include that as the 3rd book in that video, most likely. So it'd be Billy Summers, Dance of Thieves, and King of Scars. I think that would be a really good one. I think that would be good, actually. Yeah. Because then I wouldn't have to overwhelm myself with, like, super long series. It would just be, like, duologies. So it'd be 2 out of the 3 books that are on my 25 and 2025, but that would be good. I love I'm thinking about that, like, for a video that I'm doing in fucking June when it's only April right now. But I'm always thinking ahead when it comes to my TBR and the books I'm going to read. It's really, like, the only thing I think ahead about. That's it. Don't ask me about anything else with books. Next up is, and Dance of Thieves is, like, a romantic-y duology. And also, like, I did hear that there is a previous trilogy called The Kiss of Deception. I don't remember what all of the books are called, but I know the first book is called The Kiss of Deception. And that is set in the same world. And people do say you should read that first, but also a lot of people say you don't have to. So I'm just going to read the Dance of Thieves duology. So, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I should also put The Scarlet Veil on here as well by Shelby Morin, because I have both the books unread on my top shelf, but they're such beautiful covers. I've read 4 out of the 6 books that are on that top shelf, and I haven't read The Scarlet Veil or The Shadow Bride yet. But also, those are set in the same universe as Serpent and Dove. And Monica had also told me that she read the Serpent and Dove trilogy, and she didn't really love it. So that was also another series that she's read that I haven't read yet. But she also said, like, she loved the first book, but, like, the 2nd and 3rd book, she kind of got bored. But she also said, like, if you want to read The Scarlet Veil, she doesn't think that I would have to necessarily read Serpent and Dove. Like, it's kind of similar to, like, Throne of the Fallen and, like, Kingdom of the Wicked, but also, like, I would say you should read Kingdom of the Wicked trilogy by Kerri Maniscalco before you read Throne of the Fallen, but I've read that entire universe, so, and Throne of the Fallen was a 6-star romantasy for me, and one of my only 6-star romantasies, because I fucking loved that book, and then Throne of Seekers was such a letdown. But I'm 100% going to read the 3rd book, which is supposed to be Lust's story. Why am I rambling? So anyway, I'm getting tired because it's late. Next up is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I have still not read this damn series. I was going to pull out the 1st book, but I can't be bothered because it's behind a picture. So, I'm getting really tired. I might stop and film the rest tomorrow. So I think Red Queen is going to be the last book that I talk about tonight, and then we'll finish up tomorrow. So Red Queen. There are 4 full-length books, and then the last book is like a collection of novellas. So we have Red Queen, Glass Sword, King's Cage, War Storm, and then the collection of novellas is Broken Throne. Now, I've heard very mixed reviews about this series, and that's why I feel like I kept on putting it off. But you guys, I think I've owned this series for well over a year. I picked up this series right after I ordered ACOTAR, and I never ended up reading it. Because for me, what I was gonna do is that I was gonna order one box set of a series, read that series, and then order another box set after I've only completed the box set that I had read before that. So I was like, I'm not going to get another box set until I complete ACOTAR. And then I ended up ordering Red Queen. I was like, I'm going to read that after I finish ACOTAR, and I never did. Because then I ended up purchasing the Cruel Prince trilogy box set. And I ended up reading that whole universe, including Stolen Heir and Prisoner's Throne. And then I also had ordered the entire Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy, and I read that over Red Queen. So, tell me why I keep on putting this off, because a lot of people say that this series is just boring, but also, well, even though I have completed the entire Powerless trilogy just recently, because Fearless just came out a couple days ago, and I binged the shit out of it. They say that Red Queen, Powerless completely copied Red Queen. But people also say that if you read Powerless first, it kind of ruins your reading experience for Red Queen, because you kind of feel like you know what happens. But also, I kind of am really interested to see how similar they are. But I at least want to read the first book, you know? But also, like, I didn't want to devote the time to this series until, like, winter of 2025. We're talking, like, November, December. But I don't know if I might just stretch out reading this series over time throughout the summer, or maybe, like, throughout the fall to winter. Because I don't think I'm going to read in the summertime. I'm not going to want to read all these heavy fantasy books in the summertime. But there's going to be some that I want to read, so we will see. But again, I've heard very mixed reviews about it. Okay, we only have like 6 more books left. We might as well just bang them out. Next up is Red Rising by Piers Brown. Now, I do own the original trilogy. I haven't read any Piers Brown books, okay? I'm not going to go through all these books either. We have Red Rising, Golden Sun, Morning Star. I think then, I don't even know what the other 3 books are called, and I don't feel like listing them. But there's a 7th book coming out at the end of 2025. I think like November, December, or like October. Why did I say that backwards? October, November, December. I know it's coming out later this year. And everybody raves about how amazing this series is, but people also say it can get pretty dark. But also, I have not purchased the rest of the series yet, because I only purchased the original trilogy. I don't know if I would continue the series after that, because originally it was supposed to be a trilogy. And I know I said that earlier about Shatter Me, but also Shatter Me's YA. And like YA series are just like easier for me to devour and understand, but also like I really want to see what all the hype is about this series. And also one of my goals for 2025 was to read more sci-fi. And I think I've only read 1 so far this year. I don't think I've read any more. The only one I've read is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, and I loved that book. But also, like, that's very digestible sci-fi that I feel like anybody can read. But I also want to read more space sci-fi, so we're gonna have to see when I get to these. But I really do want to read at least the first book at some point. This is not gonna be a series that I'm gonna binge, though, because people say, like, they're kind of heavy to binge because they can get very dark. So I think I'm just gonna, like, read it gradually throughout the year, but I at least want to read the first book at some point this year. But I really, really want to read it. Okay, next up is The Infernal Devices by Cassandra Clare. Now, I had never read anything by Cassandra Clare, and I always saw Sarah Hafty, which is another one of my favorite YouTubers, rave about Cassandra Clare's books, and she had recommended in her videos, and I think in one of my comments, because she's replied to a couple of my comments, she said that you should start with the Infernal Devices series if you decide to go into Cassandra Clare. So I purchased all three of that trilogy. I don't know why I do that. I really need to stop completing series without reading them, like buying them complete. Like, I didn't do that with Red Rising, but I did that with everything else. I didn't do that with Book of Azrael because all of them are available on Kindle Unlimited. So I think it's called, like, why can I fucking remember the names of these fucking books? But dude, I'm tired. Why is it so hard to talk? Maybe I should stop. I thought I was going to be done by this point, but y'all know I can never shut up. Devices. Why is my Goodreads like fucking broken right now? Alright, apparently we're not finding out the names because I don't know why. It's like being dumb as fuck right now. Like, it's not searching properly. I don't know why. But I really want to read them. I actually did start a Cassandra Clare book, and I really wanted to read Swordcatcher, which was like her more adult fantasy series. I got about 45% into the audiobook, and then my Libby loan expired, and I haven't really felt inclined to continue it at the current moment. I think I'm going to finish it because I actually got the second book, The Ragpicker King, on audio as well. And the voices are really, really good. I really enjoyed the voices of this series. I think I need to turn this light off. I'm sorry. It's so goddamn bright. I can't. Maybe I should just dim it a little bit more. It's giving me such a headache. Sorry. It's too bright. But I wanted to, pick up her more adult series as well. So I will see what I think of both of those books, but I think I would continue that series over Crescent City because I just have not continued Crescent City at all. I was not feeling it, but also like that needs to be on this list as well, but I am going to finish those, but I'm not going to pick them back up again until like December because I really have no desire to. They're not on Libby. I purchased the second and the third one and I just haven't gotten back to them yet because I got like 10 hours into the first book, but I just have not finished it, and I really need to, but I'll probably pick that up like a couple months from now. My audiobook TBR has kind of gotten a little bit crazy, so because, the books that end up taking priority are the ones that I'm currently reading, and I just pick up the audiobook from Libby, and then I'll just listen to it when I'm not able to physically read, so... Anyway, next up is the Hurricane Wars. I think I only have 4 books left, so let's hurry this up, Caitlin. I think this might actually search properly. What the hell, man? Okay. This one is by Thea Gunzan, and I've heard mixed reviews about this. I think it's only I definitely butchered her name. Guzan? Guanzin? I'm going to say Guanzin. Sorry if I'm totally butchering it. There's only 2 books, which is Hurricane Wars and A Monsoon Rising. And that one actually came out. The second book came out in December of last year. But I haven't gotten to either of them yet. And me and my friend actually both picked up this book. So maybe we'll end up buddy reading it like later this year. Because we've picked up quite a bit of similar books. But also she has read quite a bit of the books that I told her to read. Well, mostly she's just read Fourth Wing. But she also just recently picked up Belladonna, which I binged in December of last year and I loved it. But anyway, I really want to read this, but also I've seen very mixed reviews about it. And also the first book only has a 3.67 on Goodreads. The second book has a 4.16. Wow, that is way higher. Alright, well, I do want to read that duology before the year is over. So we have Dance of Thieves, King of Scars, and The Hurricane Wars, which are all duologies. Then next up we have Bridge Kingdom by Danielle L. Jensen. Now, I actually have read one book by her, which was A Fate Inked in Blood. And I read that last August, but that's literally the only Danielle L. Jensen book I have read. Now, the second book is coming out in May and is called A Curse Carved in Bone. And I'm 100% reading that because I loved A Fate Inked in Blood. But that's only a duology. But also, I own the first 4 books in the Bridge Kingdom series. I have not read any of them. I know, shameful. Take me away. Take me away, book police. Anyway, I'm not that funny right now. We have 2 more books to talk about. Well, 3 more. So, I have not read any of them yet, but I really do want to read at least the first duology this year because they're kind of separated into duologies. So we have The Bridge Kingdom, The Traitor Queen, The Inadequate Heir, and The Endless War. I can remember those titles. Wow, go me. Oh my god. But also because they're such beautiful covers. But also I got the Bridge Kingdom book and The Will of the Many by James Ingleton at Comic-Con last year. I still haven't read them yet. But because I was back in October, so they've been on my TBR for like 7 months at this point. Maybe I'll put The Will of the Many in that books I've been putting off video instead of King of Scars, because I know I'm going to read King of Scars. And that video would mostly be for books that are on my 25 and 2025. So, we'll see. But I really want to read The Bridge Kingdom because the 5th book just came out 10 days ago. But also I had not read the first 4 books in the series, so I didn't want to read the 5th book. But that was also an April release. And literally 3 books came out April 8th, which was Enchantra, the 5th Bridge Kingdom book, and why can't I remember what the other one was? Fearless. So I'd read the previous books in Powerless, and also the previous book in Enchantra, which was Phantasma. And I absolutely loved that book too. But I hadn't read the Bridge Kingdom books, so. But I read those 2 series before the book came out on the same day. So, next up is Neon Gods by Katie Robert. Now, this one has probably been on my TBR the longest on this entire list. Besides The Hunger Games, because that's been on my TBR since I was a teenager, so. But I purchased the first 3 books in this series a while ago. And this was one of the first books that my friend recommended to me to read when she found out I was an avid reader like she is. And I think she had only read the first 3 books or possibly 2 books, and she said that she loved it. So I picked up the first 3 books, and I still have not read them yet. They were also on Kindle Unlimited for a little while, and for some reason I never picked them up. Never read it. So, I still have never read anything from Katie Robert. She has read quite a few books from her. The other one that's on my TBR this month is Desperate Measures, because she actually gave me her old copy, because she actually purchased the special edition, not realizing that she had already had the old copy, but she also hadn't read it yet. So, but she just recently read it like a couple of weeks ago. So I really did. It was supposed to be my dark romance prompts for this month, because also my 3 genres that I really wanted to read more of this year was sci-fi, dark romance, and cowboy romance, or sports romance. So actually I had never read any cowboy romance, and I finally read my first one, which was Done and Dusted by Layla Sage, which is a series I'm going to be continuing in April and May. So that's also another reason why I'm not reading these 25 and 2025 right now. I think I'm just going to get into bed and read. I don't think I'm going to watch anything. But I am currently reading a dark romance, which is Kiss of the Basilisk by Lindsay Strobe. I'm actually reading this on my Kindle, but this is my book club pick, because I joined a book club. We actually formed a book club in Barnes & Noble here a couple weeks ago when the new Barnes opened up near me. I met these 4 amazing ladies, and we ended up forming a book club, and we ended up picking Kiss of the Basilisk. I'm only like 15% into this. I actually just started reading it more today because I finished like quite a few books that were on my TBR before this, and I'm loving it so far. So I don't know why I keep on explaining this, but hopefully I'll get to Neon Gods. But that's a book that I want to put in my books that my friend has recommended to me. And then the next one is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. I don't know why I keep on putting this book off. I've had it on my Kindle for so long, and I actually did start it, but I never like picked it back up again, and I was actually enjoying it. But I don't know why it keeps on getting pushed off. Because I actually read the other book that I have had from Gabrielle Zevin, because I'm going to donate it because I don't feel the need to keep it, which is The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry, and that's the only book that I read from her so far, and I did enjoy it. I thought it was good. But the reason why I picked up that book is because I wanted like a really short read for when I was going up to the Catskills in October. I really wanted to pick short books for that weekend. So I alternated between that book and Six Scorched Roses by Cursive Broadbent, which was like the Serpents and the Wings of Night novella, well, Crowns of Nexia novella that's in between the first two books. So I alternated between those two. But I haven't read Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, and it's like one of the biggest books of the past like couple years. So I really do want to read that soon. And then the last one, which is replacing Spark of the Everflame, because Spark of the Everflame's fourth book keeps on getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. And I don't want to read it until I know when the fourth book is coming out. If you guys don't know anything about me, I fucking hate cliffhangers so much. And also, the third book, Heat of the Everflame. So we have Spark of the Everflame, Burn of the Everflame, and Heat of the Everflame. Wait, Spark of the Everflame, Glow of the Everflame, Heat of the Everflame, and Burn of the Everflame. I think Burn is the one that's being put off, or Heat. I can't remember which one. But it keeps on getting pushed back. And I don't want to like wait for like an excruciating cliffhanger. But I also heard that the third book is like 1,000 pages long. So, but they're all on Kindle Unlimited. So I'm going to wait until the fourth book we know is coming. But Goodreads says 2026, but then the author said, do not believe this date, or the whatever date you see on Google, do not believe it, because it's going to come sooner before that. So I think it's going to come before 2026, but I don't think it's going to come out until like winter of this year, or maybe like early 2026. So, but the fact that it would be even pushed off an entire year, because like it was announced back in 2023, is crazy to me. But I haven't read it yet. That's why I've been putting it off, because I'm like, I am not committing to it until I know when the next book is coming out. Okay, and then the last one on this list is Night Circus by, who was it by again? And actually, I've had quite a few people recommend this book to me at this point. But also, one of my book besties in my book club said I need to read this book. And I really do want to read it soon. I think I'm going to try and put it on my May TBR, because maybe I will end up reading one. I didn't realize it has 1 million ratings. Damn, I didn't realize how popular it is. So it's by Erin Morgenstern. I didn't realize that. Wow. That's crazy. Damn. Okay. I really do need to read this book then. So it's basically like similar to Caraval, but I think it's a little bit darker. But also I saw like a couple of YouTubers read this book lately, and they both rated it very, very high. So I really do want to read it. I'm going to try and put it on my May TBR. So then at least I'll read one book that's on this list, because like I said, I wasn't going to get to any this month. So that's it, you guys. My throat is so goddamn dry. So I need to go. So yeah, let me know if you guys have read any of these books. And that is the end of this quarterly check-in with you guys. This was really, really fun. I've been wanting to do this for a while. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. Follow me on my Instagram at CBW819. I'm not going to say to check out my Poshmark because I literally don't list anything on there anymore. I really need to list some books on Vinted though. Let me know if you guys are interested in purchasing books or if you even care. I don't think anybody's going to purchase anything, but you know, when I did list my Poshmark, I had over 30 purchases on it. So yeah, that's it. I'm going to go keep reading. And I'm really excited to see what my progress is going to be by the end of June. Even though I'm not picking up any of them this month, hopefully I'll read like at least 3 or 4 by the time June is over. Or at least read 3. So we're manifesting it. So it's definitely going to be the Hunger Games. And if I don't read the Hunger Games by the end of June, because we're going to do this check-in again in July. Back in July? You mean in July, Caitlin. Then Arrest Me and Dance of Thieves. And the what was the other one? The Night Circus. So I should definitely be able to read The Night Circus because it's only 1 book. So yeah, that's it. Bye.